Welcome back, everybody. Jordan Griffin here again. I'm going to talk to you today about money. More specifically, how you can make more of it by negotiating a higher salary. Let's get started. According to a 2018 poll by global staffing firm Robert Half, 39% of people attempted to negotiate a higher salary at their next job offer. Of those polled, only 46% of men negotiate a higher salary compared to just 34% of women. In that same study, when asked how comfortable employees were talking to their employers about their salary, 54% said that they would be more comfortable negotiating their salary with a new employer compared to 49% with their current employer. Asking for more money does pay off. According to the recruiting software provider JobVite, they did a study in 2017 that found 84% of people who negotiated a higher salary did get a higher salary. And 1/5 of those participants that were surveyed received an increase anywhere from 11% to 20%. And coming up, I'll be going over some negotiation tips that you can use in your next salary negotiation. But first, I'm going to need to negotiate with you to hit that like button, as it does really help out the channel. The single most important technique that I can tell you about your negotiation for your salary is come prepared. You really need to do your research. It's imperative that you know the median range for that position. And living in today's age, there's a multitude of resources for you to find out this information. Glassdoor.com, LinkedIn, Salary.com, all of these are options for you where you can filter down by job title, years of experience, educational background, etc. And that'll give you a good understanding of what the salary range will be. You can also ask your network. Do you know anybody currently in role that is at the current company that you're applying to? Or maybe you know somebody that was recently there, or maybe there's somebody you know that is in a similar position at a competitor to the company you are applying to. So you really need to utilize the resources available to you both online and your network to figure out what the salary range for the position will be. As someone who's been on the other side of the negotiating table when hiring a new employee, I can guarantee you that they are going to be prepared with that salary information. So we utilize a service through ADP, and if you're unfamiliar, ADP is one of the largest payroll processing companies in the country. And I believe about 1 in 6 employees is paid through ADP in the US alone. Now, we are able to narrow down the search when we're trying to hire a new employee, and it aggregates all that data across, 1 in 6 Americans, across all that pay information so that we can narrow it down by region, years of experience, educational background, to really get a clear picture of what that salary range should be. If you're going to a large organization, they likely have a pay scale developed already for your role specifically. And a lot of times, you're going to max out depending on your experience. I know, for instance, the government, they have what's called the GS pay scale, and they vary that by location throughout the country. So if you're working for the government, say in Washington, D.C., your pay is going to be different than if you're working in, Topeka, Kansas, for instance. Another thing to be cognizant of is if you're negotiating with a smaller employer, it's likely that the position is going to max out at some point. So you might think, well, I'm worth X, but the company just doesn't have the resources to pay X, so it, maxes out at Y. And so you need to decide, what are some of the other benefits available at that company that maybe outweigh the salary. Finally, when it comes to preparation, it's really important that you practice the negotiation. Get your spouse, a roommate, partner, family member, stranger on the street to help you practice the negotiation so that you're fully prepared for any weird questions that might get thrown your way, and you're really able to articulate what you've done previously and why you deserve a higher salary than what they're offering. Along with everything else I mentioned to be prepared for your negotiation, make sure you study some negotiation tips. Just a quick Google search of, study negotiation tips, or hopefully watch this video all the way through and that'll help you out. But that's a really great way that you can be prepared for that negotiation. One of those things that I would mention too is bring a list of your accomplishments so that at any point in the negotiation, you're ready to say, I worked on this team, we did this project, it increased company profits by X%, so that you can really show how valuable you are to your new employer. Another important aspect in terms of negotiation techniques is to ask open-ended questions. You don't want to just ask yes or no questions. You want them to talk more about the role, and one way to do that is to ask something to the effect of, what does it take to be successful in this role or at this company? And typically, if they really want to hire you, they're going to be honest in this discussion. So if they don't respond in a term that you feel is, honest, and they just give you some vague answer of, oh, put your head down and work hard, it might not be the best position for you. But if they truly care about hiring you and aren't just doing this to fill their day, they should provide you with really good information on what you need to do to be successful in role. And if they tell you all of that, you'll have gained an ally perhaps because they've given you all this information, and they'll be watching you to make sure that you're following through on all the steps that they said that you need to be successful in role. So you've done your homework, you're ready to go, you're ready to negotiate, you've practiced, you've done your research. Now I want to talk about your demeanor. It's incredibly important that you maintain a positive attitude throughout the entire negotiation process. Smiling will help a lot, as well as smiling will put the other side of the negotiation at ease, and they may even kind of mirror your smile so that it's really an enjoyable experience for everyone. We've got our demeanor figured out, we've done our research, now we get to the meat of it, where we're going to talk about salary. First and foremost, I would say let them go first. In just about any negotiation, it's always better to go second. Mostly. Especially in this situation, the company, they don't care what you want to make. They've got their information. They're going to try to get you for as low as the market will bear. And it's your job to convince them that you're worth the extra money. Also, if they're willing to offer you a salary, they want to hire you. You just have to figure out, what is a best total compensation package for both of you. In terms of letting them go first, I would not provide what my current salary is. If they get really pushy on this, you can say, I'm not really comfortable telling you exactly what my salary is. I have a range in mind that I think we could both agree upon. Just telling them what you make, lets them lowball you essentially, because they say, oh, well, you make 50,000, we'll offer, 52.5, and that's a significant increase in pay in their mind. But you need to be vague about it and provide a range so that you have some more room to work with. In terms of providing a range, there's a couple of options that you can use. You can just provide a simple range and say, based on my research and my experience and my accomplishments, I would be comfortable in the range of, let's just say 60,000 to 65,000. So that gives you some room to work with. Obviously, they're probably going to try to get as low to that 60 as possible. Or you can utilize what's called an extreme anchor. Essentially here, instead of saying 60 to 65,000, you would say, hey, based on my information, my experience, I think that my position, I should be making $75,000 a year. And they kind of have to look at it and go, whoa, that's outrageous. Like the most we pay for this position is $60,000. So you're creating that extreme anchor so that when you really get to the number you actually want, it seems a lot more reasonable. And they kind of feel like they've won something by getting you down to that number. If you do finally come to a number that you want to go with, it's important to use an odd number. I know it might seem counterintuitive, but by providing an odd number, it really makes it seem like you've done your homework and your research. So instead of saying, I want $65,000 a year, you could say, I want $65,278 per year. That is what I feel the position is worth. That's what I feel I'm worth. And it makes it seem as though, you really know what you're talking about and you've done your homework. So you've provided a range, maybe you've given an extreme anchor. Once they finally provide a salary, this is a good time for you to pause for a moment once that offer is handed to you or given to you and think about it And you can say something to the effect of, that's a very generous offer and I very much appreciate it, but I think there's a number that's a little more agreeable that we can both agree upon. Agreeable to agree upon? Okay.
Agreeable to agree upon? Okay.
As I mentioned, it's really important to maintain a positive attitude throughout the negotiation. And especially if you're negotiating your salary and you want to maybe steer the conversation away from that so that you can kind of negotiate some of those other, total compensation items. So you could negotiate your PTO, maybe the bonus structure, or if there are any stock options available with the position. And when you're doing that, again, it's really important to maintain a positive attitude, be very jovial. Jovial? I don't think I've ever said that. Maintain a positive attitude, a jovial attitude, and be very insistent about your non-salary terms so that you seem like you're more reasonable. So if you're saying I want 70 grand a year, but we can talk about that later. What I really want to talk about is I see that you only have 21 days of PTO. Like where I'm from, I feel more comfortable with 25 days of PTO. And so they might go, okay, well, we could budge on the PTO, but maybe we won't pay you 70 grand a year. So you have to kind of decide like what's more important to you and go from there. Now, this technique really only applies when you are negotiating a new position with a new company. So I would recommend utilizing other job offers in your negotiation. So let's say you are interviewing at Facebook and Google, they're competitors in that space, and say you've gone in for your Facebook interview, you're going throughout the negotiation process. I wouldn't mention who you're interviewing with, but just say, hey, I'm interviewing with some other companies. I'm just trying to, get a total picture of what all the options are. And it'll kind of make you seem like a commodity. And if the negotiator on the other side is, offering you a salary, like I said, they want to hire you. So it makes it seem like you are a prize worth seeking, and so they may be more willing to hire you and be more willing to cede certain items on that negotiation list to pull you away from their competitors. All right, so you've negotiated, you've done your homework, you've come to an agreeable total compensation package, you're really happy about it, you got a big bump in pay. Now it's really important that you define success in that role. So you want to talk to the hiring manager and then perhaps talk to whoever your actual boss is going to be and tie your next promotion to objectives in that role. So you don't want to just go in there, you got the number you wanted, but then you're not tying any future promotions to your success in that role. All right, that brings us to the end of the video. I'm going to give you a little summary again as we've been going kind of long here. So first, you got to be prepared. You need to do your homework, figure out what the range for the position is, figure out, depending on maybe your experience, you need to have really good proof and evidence as to why you deserve more than what the median range is for that role. Second, maintain a positive attitude. It's incredibly important. Smile throughout the negotiation process, be very happy, be very jovial, be insistent on those non-salary negotiables like your PTO, bonus structure, stock options, etc. And finally, make sure to drink your Ovaltine. Finally, once you've negotiated a salary, it's incredibly important to define success for the position. So you need to tie your promotion to quantifiable objectives. How are you going to increase revenue for the organization? How are you going to save money for the organization? Depending on what your role is, really tie that promotion to objectives that you can meet and agree upon with your employer. I hope that information was helpful, everybody. If you found it useful, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe and comment down below, and we'll see you next time.